I broke loose again. They tried to stop me, I said no way. I ran the hell away, and now I'm free again. Woo! Now, let's start off this episode by taking a snapshot. Snapshots are our friends. The idea behind these snapshots is you want to be labeling these in a way that you're going to be able to kind of understand where in the timeline this snapshot lies. So if you need to go back to a certain snapshot, you'll be able to find it easily and quickly. Now that we have done that, I'm going to go ahead and start our machine. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in full screen here. And we're going to go ahead and let it boot up. Now that we are here at the login screen, let's go ahead and log in. And here we are on our desktop. Now let's go ahead and open a terminal. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do an update on our system. Make sure that we are nice and fresh. And look at that, we are up to date. Everything is good. So then I'm going to go ahead and start the install of Hyprland. That's right. We are installing Hyprland today, along with Waybar and Wofi. Let's go ahead and install these three packages now. Go ahead and install them. Now, I already had them installed, so that went fairly quickly. This will probably take you a slight bit longer. But once those three are installed, we are going to go ahead and give a reboot. Alright, and now that we're back at our login screen under session here, you'll notice that Hyprland is available to log into. So, let's log into it. And the first thing you're going to notice, besides a sweet background, is that the only thing that's here is this banner up top, where they tell you how to find the config file for Hyprland, how to open a terminal, and how to log out of Hyprland. We're going to go ahead and open a terminal here. And I have this information display for me when I open a terminal. If you don't have anything like this, you're going to be hidden behind this banner up here. Just go ahead and hit enter a few times, and that should pop you down below the banner so you can see what you're typing. Go ahead and enter in sudo vim.config/hyper/hyprland.conf and hit enter. I'm going to ask you for a password. Enter in your password. And here we go. This is the auto-generated config file for Hyprland. The first line here, first thing that they're telling you, is if you want to remove that banner at the top, to go ahead and remove this line, or you can simply comment it out, and that will accomplish the same thing. You can do that now, or we can just not bother with this and wait for the next step, because the next step, I am going to show you how to download and use my style and my Dotfiles if you wish to. You do not have to, but if you wish to have the same styling as me, you can go ahead and use my Dotfiles, or if you just want to use them and then tweak them, or if you want to do everything completely all on your own, I will show you how to do all of those things. But first, I'm going to start by cding into the optional directory so I can download those files. I'm going to do a git clone of https://github.com/phobia with a capital P, no N, and then a capital GH / and it's going to be Hyprland hyphen dot hyphen files, all capital. Go ahead, go. Now I already have these files installed, but if you would like them, that's what you would enter to go ahead and download those. So I'm going to go ahead and download, or CD into that directory. And if you notice, in here is a bunch of files. These are all my config and style sheet files for all of the different packages that we're going to use to build out our Hyprland. I'm going to start off with doing a sudo copy hyper, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that to my .config file. And I'm going to do that .config/hyper. And of course, I forgot to pass the tac r to make this recursive, as that is a directory. And that should have updated my config file. So now if I cd back home and tap up, interesting. That did not work. Let me try that again. Let me see what I did wrong here. So I'm going to cd into my optional. Of course, I'm doing the old push up instead of retype method here. Interesting. Why did that not? Maybe if I just do the config. Let's try this. There we go. That's what I did wrong. So now let's go ahead and exit here. And now signing out has been moved to Super Shift M. Go ahead and give that a click and let's sign out. You may need to move your mouse to update the screen. And let's log back in. And yes, now as you see, when we log in, we now have a new Waybar session running up at the top. If we go ahead and open a terminal, which is now Super T, remember that will now, from now on, be the keybind for terminal. If you followed me and used my .files, if not, then hold on one sec and I will show you how to change the keybind from Super Q to Super T. So we're going to go ahead and vim or nano back into our .config/hyper/hyperland file. Oops, sorry, .conf file. Enter in your password. Now, this is my hyperconfig file. If you notice, it is a little bit different from the original. Up here at the top, I have set the monitor specifically for a virtual environment. Now, scrolling down, this is where you set your programs, the different programs and what they mean, and any arguments to pass by them. So for instance, our terminal here, we're using Alacrity instead of Kitty. Our file manager is Dolphin. Our menu is Wofi. Brave, which is our web browser, is the Brave web browser, and so on and so forth. So when we call menu, we're actually calling Wofi -- show drun -- style, blah, 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 blah. So this is where you set your programs that you want to launch underneath different occasions. Down here, this is where we set the auto start occasions. So this is everything that will auto start upon logging in to Hyprland. We have Waybar, which you see up there at the top. We have our network manager applet. We have our Bluetooth applet, I honestly don't know why Network Manager is in here twice, but I'm going to go ahead and fix that now. It doesn't really matter, but I don't really care for it being that way. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Leave this one up here. Then we have our notification client, and we have a couple scripts here. And we will get to these later on. Right now, these do nothing. They don't have the correct permissions set to them to run, and we will leave them that way for now. And in fact, we can go ahead and get rid of these two lines if you do not wish to use KDE Connect with this system, which I do not wish to. If you do plan on and wishing to use it, then go ahead and by all means leave that in. Then scrolling down, this is where you would set your environment variables. I showcased that a little bit ago. Or did I? No, I didn't. I am so sorry. So, one of the things you are going to want to do is if you're having an issue with your cursor being upside down, go ahead and enter this environment variable right here underneath your environment variables. env equals WLR underscore no underscore hardware cursors. And that's going to be set to a comma 1. And that should take care of your upside down cursor. All right, and moving along, right here, you're also going to want to set these environment variables. This, if you prefer dark mode, that is. If you prefer dark mode, set these underneath your environment variables, followed by this right here. And that should set you up with dark mode, which in fact I'm going to be going in depth on how to do this in episodes here coming up. Now moving down, this is where you can set the look and feel of the windows and how Hyprland looks and reacts. You have your transparency, and you can set a bunch of different cool variables for different animations and effects here. Scrolling down, we're coming down into our input. This is where you set your keyboard input. And then scrolling down a little bit beyond that, here we get to our key bindings. And right here, this is where you would change underneath the terminal from Q to T, or anything you want to. You can change any of these and remap them to whatever or however you wish. Whatever layout on the keyboard is going to be most effective for you is what you should put these as. By all means, feel free to keep them the way they are. You don't need to adjust them. I suggest trying this out and seeing how it feels for you, and if it feels natural, flow with it. If it doesn't, figure out why does it feel unnatural, and then how would it need to alter in order for it to feel more natural for you, and then set the key bindings accordingly. And again, I will go through in depth on how to set all these up moving forward here. This is just a quick overview of the config file for now. Moving on, I'm going to save and exit. Okay, so now we know how to get into the config file for Hyprland, but I haven't really said that much about Waybar up top here. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at that real quick? What we're going to do is we're going to cd into our Hyprland Dotfiles folder again. Whoops. Optional files, which they are. They are totally optional. And if we do an ls, we can see that there is Waybar there. So we're going to do sudo copy Waybar, and we're going to do home directory .config, and go ahead. And we're going to forget the tac r again to make it recursive, because why not? And there we go. Now, if I cd into our .config, whoops, config, synfog, .config Waybar, you'll notice that there's a config, a style, and a Waybar reload.sh. What we're going to do here is we're going to do sudo chmod, and we're going to give this script execution privileges here. So we're going to do cmod plus x Waybar hyphen reload.sh, and we're going to hit enter. What that's going to do is that's going to allow that script to run when we press super shift W. That's going to reload our Waybar. Notice how that changed drastically. That is my styling I have set to Waybar. So now, anytime we do a customization in order to reload Waybar, we do not need to log out and log back in. We can just press super shift W and it will reload the Waybar for us. Very, very, very helpful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sudo vim inside of our config. And let's take a look at the layout of our Waybar here. And as you can see here, we have our module order. We have our modules on the left, which are these modules right here. You can see a little bit of that delay in switching between windows that second cursor causes, which if you have any idea on how to get rid of that, please let me know. Then you have your centers module, which is obviously in the center, and then modules on the right, which is the modules on the right. And all these names are the different individual items that make out each module. And this is an example module right here. You can use this as an example on creating your own custom modules, which I have made a bunch here. Feel free to remove any that you do not want. Feel free to add to that. This is your system. Use all of this as an example on what to do to make this unique to you. And if you scroll down, it's just very much in the same. These are the actual different items and the configuration that makes out those items. You have some custom ones, you have pre-built ones that came with Waybar. And again, this is just what I set up the way I feel it should be set up. You can go ahead and set this up better for you, which again, we will have an episode purely dedicated on actually going through and changing some of these and seeing how things react when we start changing things. So let's go ahead and exit out of here for now. And I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to take a look at the style.css file. And here is a very simple CSS layout for the Waybar. I say simple, but there's actually quite a bit to it. If you've ever done CSS, you know it can get quite repetitive. But the main thing I want to point out right now is right here at the top. See this font size? This right here sets the font size for the entire Waybar. If the Waybar is too big or too small for your liking, go ahead and raise this up or down a few pixels at a time and see what that does for you. Now, moving along, as you can see, there's some weirdness going on with the icons. That's because we do not have the correct icon, the correct fonts for the icons for Waybar. So, to correct that, we want to do a sudo pacman-s, and that's going to be a ttf-font-awesome. And go. We're going to go ahead and install that. Now go ahead and give Waybar reload with Super Shift W. And now you notice that all of the icons actually load. So right here we have our login, logout menu, which we have not actually installed yet, so that will not do anything at the moment. We will get to that. Here we have our file manager, Dolphin. This should open Dolphin. There it is. Super C to close any active windows. These aren't probably going to work. Brave will work at the moment. This will not work at the moment. This is Tor. This is Brave. This will open our Brave web browser. This will not work at the moment. This is VS Code. This right here is our terminal. This will just open up a new terminal if we click on it. And this right here is our workspace, so our virtual desktops. If we have more than one open, it will pop up with a number of however many active windows we are utilizing. This is our CPU utilization. This is our memory utilization. This is our total data usage on our disk. This is our network information. This right here is our network manager applet. Our clock, we can hover over it to get a calendar. We can right click on it to get long form, or right click on it to stay short form. This is our sound and input audio. We can scroll up and down to change the volume at the moment. That is our capability. And that is Waybar at the moment. So let's see. I think now I want to go ahead and show you where you can go to check out my Dotfiles. So if you are interested in my Dotfiles, you can go to github.com/phobia GH and go. Now, I have a few repositories on here. Feel free to check them out, try them out. I have Nails, which this I'm very proud of. This is a web scraper. I have Fugle, which is a web crawler. Coin Flipper, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's as basic of a coin flipper as you can get. And a dice game called Pig. Check them out. Let me know what you think. And here is our Hyprland Dotfiles. You can go ahead and open up here. And you can see all the files here. You can go through them. You can look through them. You can download them. Instead of doing the entire Git clone, if you just want to take bits and pieces of my styling and not utilize all of it, feel free. That is completely up to you. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it here today. We are going to spend the entirety of next episode doing nothing but customization on Hyprland and making it look sweet. So thank you for watching. And as always, until next time, give a like, subscribe, and I'll see you around.